Good evening. I would like to call this special council meeting to order. It is 6 o'clock on April 2nd, 2019.
I'll read the opening statement. Let the minutes reflect that adequate notice of the holding of this special meeting of the Howell Township Council was provided for in the following manner: by the posting of a copy of said notice upon the bulletin board in the Township Municipal Building on March 18, 2019, by sending a copy of said notice to the Tri-Town News, Asbury Park Press, and Star Ledger for information and publication on March 18, 2019, by the filing of a copy of said form of notice in the Township Clerk's office on March 18, 2019. The public will be allowed to attend and will be allowed to participate pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Law. The public is reminded that civility and decorum will be maintained during the meeting. Any contracts awarded at this meeting or between now and the next meeting will be required to comply with the requirements of Public Law 1975, Chapter 127, NJAC 17:27. This is the NJAW Transmission Main Green Acres public hearing. In accordance with the Fire Prevention Code, be advised that this facility is designed with emergency exits for your safety. Upon exiting the meeting room, they are to your left and to the right. Furthermore, smoking is not permitted in the municipal building. Please take note that this meeting is being videotaped for possible future broadcast on Howell Television. Roll call, Mr. Bonovich?
Present.
Ms. Richmond?
Present.
Mr. Russo?
Here.
Deputy Mayor O'Donnell?
Here.
Mayor Berger?
Present. I'd like to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please, and a moment of silence.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Do we have any reports this evening?
No, Mayor, I'll save it for the regular meeting. We can go right to the water company's presentation.
Thank you. Then I would like to open up the meeting for discussion.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor and Council. We are once again here with the New Jersey American Water Company for a Green Acres public hearing related to the transmission main project that has been partially completed and is ongoing in Howell Township. I'd like to introduce a few people with us tonight. From your right to left, we have Jacqueline Chapman and Jill Marie from HDR. They are the project engineers for the water company on this. I have Jim Schaller from New Jersey American Water. I have Andy Koyman from the Monmouth County Park System. I have Alan Weiss, counsel for the Monmouth County Park System tonight. So we're going to do a quick presentation. We'll open it up to questions from the mayor and council. We'll also open it up to the public. And we actually ask, I think there's a sign-in sheet somewhere up here. Do we require everybody to sign in? Or just the speakers? Just the speakers. Okay, so if you come up, we'd ask you to sign in, please, just your name, address, usual information, so we have a record of what your comment was. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Alan Weiss so he can prep us on behalf of Monmouth County.
Thank you, Mr. Herman. My name is Alan Weiss, and I'm a special county counsel for the County of Monmouth. In that capacity, I represent the county in the New Jersey American Water Howell to Lakewood Transmission Main Project in property known as Block 50 and Lot 46, Howell Township, which is a part of the Howell Park Golf Course, obviously located here in Howell. I would first like to thank the mayor, council members, Mr. Herman, and staff for their time and attention in making this meeting place available to us for the purpose of this presentation. This is a public hearing that is required by various sections of New Jersey statutes in the Administrative Code, specifically NJSA 40A:12-13.2 and NJAC 7:36-26.11 in connection with the sale, lease, or exchange of county-owned land and the major diversion of Green Acres designated parkland. The statute that I have cited requires, among other things, 2 public hearings for the sale, lease, or exchange of county-owned land, and one of the hearings must be held in the municipality where the land is located, such is the case tonight. The section of the administrative code that I have cited also requires a public hearing for what we call a diversion of Green Acres protected parkland, and that's governed by the New Jersey DEP. This statute and the various provisions of the administrative code require many forms of written notice that includes mailings, advertising, press releases, and signage, all of which have been done prior to tonight's hearing. Prior to this evening, the professionals at New Jersey American Water and their consultants, working together with various municipal, county, and state officials, have spent a tremendous amount of time in the design and implementation of the New Jersey American Water Howell to Lakewood Transmission Main project. Their efforts have included the making of surveys, studies, and report, as well as the participation of the public in scoping hearings. Monmouth County has specifically authorized the entry of a memorandum of agreement with New Jersey American Water pursuant to resolution number 2018-962, and has further authorized support of an application to the New Jersey DEP Green Acres program for the disposal and diversion of parkland at Howell Park Golf Course pursuant to resolution number 2018-963. All of this will ultimately lead, we hope, to approval by the State House Commission in Trenton sometime in June of this year. Generally speaking, the county's involvement in the New Jersey American Water Howell to Lakewood Transmission Main project within Howell Park Golf Course are as follows pursuant to the Memorandum of Agreement between the county and New Jersey American Water. A, Monmouth County will grant an easement consisting of 0.25 acres to New Jersey American Water for the installation and maintenance of the water main within a portion of the park. 2, the parties will cooperate with each other in order to obtain State House Commission approval. And C, New Jersey American Water will compensate the county for the tree loss and tree replacement within the park. I would like to add that a requirement of State House approval will be for Monmouth County to spend the money that it gets from New Jersey American Water on replacements property somewhere within Howell Township. The details of all this will be explained by the professionals that are here. Tonight we're going to hear from Mr. James Schaller, Senior Engineering Project Manager at New Jersey American Water, Jill Marie, Project Engineer at HDR, Jacqueline Chapman, Environmental Scientist at HDR, and finally Mr. Andrew Koyman, Supervisor, Land Preservation Office, Acquisition Design, Monmouth County Park System. We've pre-marked 3 exhibits. They're here on the easels over here. A1 is the Howell to Lakewood Transmission Main Project Overview Map. A2, aerial site map for Block 50, lots 44.04 and 46. A3, aerial site map for Block 28, lots 1.04, 2, and 3. At this time, I would like to turn the podium over to Jill Marie, Project Manager at HDR.
Thank you, Alan. As required by the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection's Green Acres program, a 30-day public notice period occurred prior to tonight's meeting. Public notices were issued by March 1st, 2019 in the form of letter mailings to landowners, newspaper advertisement published in the Asbury Park Press and Star Ledger, and physical signs were posted at the 3 diversion areas, or 3 diversion locations: the Alfred C. Sauer Park at Echo Lake, the entrance to the Howell Township Department of Public Works facility on Old Tavern Road, and the entrance to the Howell Park Golf Course. This map represents the overall project. The overall project consists of approximately 34,000 linear feet of water pipeline in Howell and Lakewood Townships. The project is necessary to increase the capacity of water distribution, increase fire protection, and improve overall system reliability and redundancy. The red line represents Phase 1 of the project. Phase 1 construction was completed in early 2018. This consisted of 24-inch diameter transmission main along Lakewood Farmingdale Road and Oak Glen Road, and 36-inch diameter pipeline along Maxim Southern Road to a point of interconnection with the existing system just south of Maxim Road. The yellow line represents Phase 2 of the project. This consists of 36-inch diameter pipe from the end of Phase 1 construction north along Maxim Southern Road, northwest along Maxim Road, north along Preventorium Road, and east along Old Tavern Road to the frontage of the Howell Township Department of Public Works facility. The alignment then continues through the DPW yard, crosses a portion of the Monmouth County Park parcel and Alaire State Park, and ends at the Oak Glen Water Treatment Plant located on Squonkam Yellowbrook Road. Phase 2 also includes 16-inch diameter water main along Lanes Pond Road between Castle Court and Maxim Southern Road, 16-inch water main along Maxim Southern Road between Lanes Mill Road and Talcott Road, and 12-inch water main along Locust Avenue between Angel Court and Maxim Southern Road. The construction for Phase 2 is anticipated to start in September 2019 following Green Acres approval. The proposed parkland diversion locations are shown in green on the map, which we will look at in more detail on the following slides. A route analysis was completed by New Jersey American Water in 2015 in coordination with local, county, and state agencies. The proposed route avoids impacts to historic and environmental resources to the greatest extent possible and utilizes roadways with adequate space to install and maintain the water main. The water main is largely being installed within local roads that will be repaved following the project completion, with the exception of several special crossings and the parkland diversion areas that we are here to discuss tonight. The first location of proposed parkland diversion is on Block 28, Lot 1.04, Lot 2, and Lot 3, owned by Howell Township. This is along the west side of Maxim Southern Road at the Alfred C. Sauer Park at Echo Lake. The proposed diversion or permanent easement area is 0.49 acres, which corresponds to approximately a 20-foot wide by 1,000-foot long easement. The installation will be completed with horizontal directional drilling, which is a trenchless method, to avoid surface impacts to the park. No permanent changes to the surface of the park is proposed. Minor impacts associated with the drilling pits will be restored to pre-construction conditions. No tree removal is proposed at this location. Alternatives were considered at this crossing location in an attempt to avoid Green Acres encumbered property. Early in the design phase, we studied the eastern side of Maxim Southern Road, but encountered several unavoidable obstacles. This included dam infrastructure, represented by the green line in the graphic, homes and residential wells, represented by the blue circles in the graphic. In addition, we were informed that the east side of the road at the Polypod Brook location is also Green Acres encumbered. At that point, the alignment on the west side of Maxim Southern Road was selected. The second location of proposed diversion is on Block 50, Lot 44.04, owned by Howell Township, and Block 50, Lot 46, owned by Monmouth County. On Block 50, Lot 44.04, the proposed diversion is located at the northern edge of the property behind the recycling center and shooting range at the DPW facility. The proposed diversion or permanent easement area is 0.12 acres, which corresponds to approximately a 20-foot wide by 250-foot long easement. On Block 50, Lot 46, the proposed diversion is located just south of the Howell Park Golf Course. This lot is wooded, undeveloped, and inaccessible to the general public. The selected location results in no impact to the golf course or disruption of play. The proposed diversion or permanent easement area is 0.25 acres, which corresponds to approximately a 20-foot wide by 550-foot long easement. Installation at these locations is by open-cut trenching methods. Therefore, both permanent and temporary tree removal is required, that we'll talk about on later slides. Alternatives were considered at this location as well, which consisted of aligning the pipe south of the encumbered areas. However, we learned that there's a historic landfill on lot 44.04 beneath the recycling center, which is not a suitable location for the water main. This resulted in the water main being aligned further north to avoid this obstacle. Next, Jacqueline's going to talk about the project benefits for both Howell Township and Monmouth County, and also review the land and tree compensation associated with these diversions.
Thank you, Jill. There are two components that goes with the monetary compensation that both Howell Township and Monmouth County will receive. The first one is the form of the land values. A land appraisal was conducted. A land appraisal was conducted to determine the value of the easement area based on its highest and best value. For the Howell Township parcels, the ones at Echo Lake had a total land compensation value of $57,000, and the one at Block 50, Lot 44.04, had a compensation value of $7,000. Following the appraisal for Monmouth County, the land compensation value is $33,400. The second aspect for the compensation would be the tree replacement. A tree survey had been conducted by a certified Green Acres surveyor, and any trees greater than 6 inches diameter at breast height were recorded in accordance with Green Acres regulations. Following the survey, it was determined that approximately 118 trees would be needed to be removed from the Green Acres parcels. There are 14 trees on lot 44.04, which is the one owned by Howell Township, and 104 trees will need to be removed on lot 46. There's one tree that is going to be protected on Howell Township, and this is because it had a DBH greater than 18 inches. And there are about 14 trees and there are approximately It's on the next slide. Okay, sorry, and then I'll get back to which trees will be protected on the next slide. These trees will be replaced on a ratio established by the Green Acres program. For the tree replacement cost, Howell Township will be receiving $139,380. Monmouth County will be receiving $909,000. The land compensation and the tree replacement costs will be used by the township and Howell County to purchase and plant new trees in local parks such as Soldier Memorial Park, and in talks with Monmouth County, they are going to purchase a forested parcel within Howell Township. Overall, the project is going to benefit Howell Township by having the roads repaved following installation from curb line to curb line. Through our route analysis, we chose the best way to reduce traffic congestion during the installation. There will be enhanced water service and fire protection throughout the township, as well as Lakewood Township. This will also improve redundancy in the water distribution system and increase the system reliability. And any questions or comments? All right, let's move on to the next slide.
We have a sign-in sheet here for any member of the public that would like to address our professionals, and we'd ask them to come up to the mic and do that. And at this time, I'd like to open it for any questions or comments from the governing body first, as well as to the public second.
Go ahead.
You said increased fire protection. I guess that is additional fire hydrants. Last week, we had Southern Fire Department here, and their budget failed. And part of their budget is a rental, I guess, a fee for the fire hydrants. Is there going to be an additional fee passed along to Southern or any of our fire departments?
Yes, there will be.
Do we know how much?
Well, it's per hydrant. So there's a hydrant rental fee. So every time a hydrant is added, typically they're only added at the fire department's request.
Okay.
They pay the fee for the rental of that fire hydrant.
So council just passed that budget, and we're going to have to revisit that again, or?
I don't think the fire hydrants will be in service this year to the point where we'll need to add anything to the budget.
Okay, thank you.
I would like to open up to the public.
Sure. Just remember, for the public, please state your name and address before you start speaking and sign in on the sheet. Thank you.
My name is Charles O'Donnell. I live at 27 Barron Meadow Lane, Howell, New Jersey, 07731. Very interesting project. Did have a couple of questions. How will this project, when it's completed, benefit Howell Township and its residents?
So I can answer a few of those. First off, they're providing water service to anybody along the route that would want it. That does include Howell Township. We will potentially receive a water service at Echo Lake Park, which is currently on well. We will receive water services at the entire municipal complex. So the Department of Public Works, library, police department, senior center, they will all receive new water services. We are currently trying to keep the well at that complex running. Understanding this project is hopeful. If it does get approved by the Green Acres Department, then we could potentially budget next year to have those services installed, because otherwise we are going to require a brand new large diameter well to be drilled in order to feed that complex. There are currently water coolers being provided in all of those buildings because the water is, let's say, not the best. So for many years, those water coolers have been provided to give to our employees drinkable water. Another benefit is the fire hydrants along the route. So there will be fire hydrants which have been already requested and approved and signed off on by Southard Fire Department. We actually sent them the plans early on and asked that they mark up the plan where they would like fire hydrants to provide the best coverage along the routes, which they did. Another benefit would be the repaving of all the roadways. So there's, I want to say, just over, I think it's just over 4 centerline miles of additional roadways that will get repaved from curb to curb. Rough numbers, we're probably talking between $900,000 and $1 million worth of work that the township does not have to, let's say, pay and budget for ourselves. There's the replacement costs for trees. So $140,000, let's say, deposit will be given where the township has to utilize that to plant new trees. So for instance, if you've ever been over in Soldier Memorial Park, you realize that there's not a lot of tree cover over there with the exception of the perimeter of the park. So one idea would be to get a landscape architect to design a plan over there to provide trees. There's hundreds of trees that will be purchased with that funding. And then any other places around town where we have maybe parks that need a few trees here and there, we can do that. And then the last thing is the purchase price for the easements themselves. So the easements, it's actually a 10-to-1 ratio, like Jacqueline had mentioned. So the easement at Echo Lake is actually worth $5,700, and because of the Green Acres requirements, they actually have to pay 10 times that to Howell Township. So we get $57,000, which we can then go and purchase. We're actually required to purchase additional open space with. So we have a couple projects in the pipeline right now. We're looking to acquire some open space, and this would actually cover some of those parcels. So those are kind of the big, broad overview of the benefits to the township.
If you don't cut down the trees, you do not have to replace the trees. So take all the trees off of that positive side. Okay? If this doesn't happen, the trees don't get cut down. Therefore, the trees do not need to be replaced. That's one. Two, everything else you mentioned is infrastructure. Individuals, the 50,000 or so voters in this township, are not directly impacted unless they drive on those roads, which are supposed to have been kept up anyway. Okay? How many people will need a fire hydrant next to their house? Well, if they have a house now and they have water, they have fire hydrants already. Okay? So what you're talking about is improving the infrastructure which already exists. Okay? Like I said, trees, don't even talk about it. If you don't cut them down, you don't have to replace them. Second question, what happens, what is the negative that occurs if this project does not go through?
All of those items I just mentioned in reverse.
Okay, so suddenly, no fire hydrants, no water running south, okay? No drawdown on our water table. None of this occurs if this doesn't go through. Does it impact possible construction because they won't be able to get water to the construction? Does it impact anything like that? What percentage of our population, you guys should know this, what percentage of our current residents use well water?
No, I don't know. Never had to do a calculation that would require that.
Well, your environmental group should have. You have
What
made-
environmental group?
Well, excuse me, Township Environmental Committee should be aware of that, along with where the
They here?
DEP certified toxic plumes are. Because if you pull the water out, the plumes are going to move,
I don't know the answer.
okay? So there are issues there. What I'm saying, or asking is, what is the negative if this doesn't go through? And as you said, it's all of what you quoted in the way of infrastructure that doesn't happen. Correct?
Infrastructure and funding for the township, correct?
Well, funding for the township for what? You don't need the money for the trees because you don't cut them down.
Open space.
Okay.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor. Ladies and gentlemen, I have just a couple different questions.
Excuse me, sir. Name and address first, please.
Maximum Southern Road,
Can you
Howell.
say that again? The microphone didn't pick up.
Ricky Carr, 1216 Maximum Southern Road. Hi, my question was, when they came up with the original design, they sent me everything in the mail, what they wanted to do when they wanted to put the pipeline on the east side. So I looked at it and I tried to figure it out. I got my cousin, which owns engineering and planning in Pennsylvania. He looked at it right away and said, well, it looks like that pipe's going to be 4 foot in front of your well and 27 foot at your well point. So then I called the number that was on the paperwork where it said, you know, any questions, and I mentioned that to them. And they said, you don't have a well? I said, yeah, the well's right here in the front yard. So they sent somebody out and they looked at it, and then that's when they went to Plan B, which is the plan that they have here now. And I guess my question, one of my questions is, how deep are they going to directional bore under the lake?
The bore underneath the lake will be 20 feet below the bottom.
All right, about 32 foot, I think, because the lake's about 12 foot deep in that area. Okay, and are they going to do the original construction that they were going to do on the east side, where they were going to bore a sleeve and then pull the main through?
There is no proposed construction on the east side.
I'm sorry, but I don't think anybody in the back is going to hear you. Thank you.
There's no proposed construction on the east side of Maxim Southern Road. The crossing is proposed on the west side beneath the lake.
Right, but the original one, though, it showed them you were going to drill a sleeve through and then pull the main through the sleeve. Is that going to be the same construction now that they're going to do under the lake, or no?
It's not a sleeve. It's
Yeah.
just the main pipe. So they drill smaller pipes and they progressively get bigger and then just pull the main pipe through.
I think if I remember correctly, the original plan that I saw, I think they were going to drill like a 32-inch pipe and then they were going to pull the main through and then cap both ends of the main when it came out of that sleeve so nothing ran back into there. I think that's what the
Jill,
original...
I don't think that's the case, right?
Yeah, I don't recall that, but the proposed setup is to set the drill rig up on the west side of Maxim Southern Road on the north side of the crossing. So it'll be on the north side of the lake, drilling south, and then pulling the pipe back towards the north is how we envision it being installed.
Gotcha. And at the deepest part of that, with the slurry from the drilling rig and everything is going to kind of want to go to the lowest point of that pipe. It's going to follow the pipe back to the lowest point, just like water and everything else does, goes to the lowest point. Will that slurry eventually seep into the aquifer that feeds the local wells?
No, that's not anticipated.
How, are they going to put like a test monitor between where they're drilling and the wells, people that have wells? Because my water's crystal clear. It has no odor, has nothing. So yeah, I'm not only trying to protect myself, I'm trying to protect who's ever doing the drilling too.
Mr. Carr, I don't think that's really a concern. The way they drill those pilot holes, they're small holes to start, and it sounds like you're pretty familiar with construction methods already. So as the drill rig pulls a progressively larger pipe through, there's not a whole lot. There's no void space between where the pipe is and the ground. So that slurry that you're referring to is kind of really actually being pulled through as it goes. But like Jill had said earlier, that one of the main reasons why we flipped the whole project was because of your well.
Right.
It's actually your well, your neighbor's well to the north on the other side of the lake, and the dam.
Right.
And we felt that, because of those reasons, making it such a tight fit, we didn't want to impact your well, even with the drilling process. So we said, you know what, if both sides are Green Acres encumbered, and we're not allowed to go underneath the bridge, right? There's an option of drilling underneath. We're not allowed. Monmouth County will not allow that at all, and I wouldn't either. That's why the drill rig and the whole setup has now been flipped to the west side, was to avoid any kind of potential problems you might have.
Right.
I mean, the worst case scenario, even if we stayed on the east side and something happened, we would have to re-drill a well for you. But I don't think that's the case. That's why we went to the other side.
Right. Okay. And is that going to be now or in the future? Is that going to be mandatory hookup once that main goes down the road?
No.
And just one other question for my neighbor, which is the well driller. He couldn't make it. He has a drilling meeting tonight, matter of fact. He was concerned about when the project does happen, he's got a lot of stuff in and out of his driveway. He was just concerned about the road, what his access is going to be in and out of his yard.
So he should have access almost at all times, because the work actually will be off the road in the shoulder. The drill rig will be set up in the shoulder above the northern parking lot. So there really should be not a whole lot of times where he'll be directly impacted. And then when they dig, once they pull the line through and they actually have to excavate under normal construction methods, the rest of the way up north, you'll have to come in one way and go out that way, until they move around.
Okay. And so, like I said, my biggest thing was, if this is going to still wind up impacting my well or not. That's, was it, okay?
Great question.
All right.
Questions?
Thank you. Sir, did you sign it? No. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kathy Novak, 16 Stratton Drive. I feel like this is deja vu all over again. I was here 2 years ago, September 19th, 2017. I'm hearing a few different things than I heard then, and so I'm wondering if there have been changes. At that time, it was said to residents that no, there wasn't going to be any required hookup because hookups weren't going to be offered because the system was too high pressure. Your faucet would blow off. And now I'm hearing that there's going to be water service provided.
So in speaking to the water company, there's ways they can step it down if someone needs it. So, correct, it's not meant for a bunch of local service to connect, and we're not requiring any connections. The water company is not looking to require mandatory connections. That is true, okay? However, we actually have had a few inquiries where people have wells right now that are going bad, and they want to hook up. So they've called us and asked us, and we said, okay, well, I don't know, let's call the water company. So the water company has told us there are ways they can step down the pressure in their meter pits that they can provide water service to those people if they want it. So if a person wants the water service, I don't think there's a reason why we should tell them no. But it's not a required hookup.
Okay, but it just sounds like it was not doable 2 years ago. So what engineering can happen now that you can do that?
I was informed properly, that's all. I just didn't know the answer last time. I thought you couldn't because it was a transmission main. And it turns out, I talked to the actual contractors, and they said there's certain water meters they can utilize to step down the pressure to allow service to a house.
Okay.
That's all.
And that's for the transmission main that you see in red, the Phase 1 and Phase 2. That's a high-pressure main. The piece over along Maxim Southern Road, Locust, and Lanes Mill, that's distribution piping at typical distribution pressures.
Right, so that'll be the same as every other water main in the street in that region.
Not that it probably matters at all, but the numbers aren't exactly the same as 2 years ago either, as far as the acreage. I don't know if what happened with those numbers.
Can you be specific?
Yeah. And it's very minor, but it just makes me wonder why they would be different.
Well, there was revisions in the plans. They tried to actually narrow down the overall square footage needed. So if there's a reduction, I think that's probably what it was.
Yes.
Because we've gone through multiple renditions of moving the main slightly here, slightly there, just to make it constructible. So due to things we found, such as moving around those trees that needed to be protected.
Okay, so it's just very minor. I was just wondering why it changed.
Correct.
My big question has to do with how is it being funded?
Mr. Schaller, would you like to jump in?
Yes. This is a capital project for New Jersey American Water, so it's totally funded by the company.
Okay, so here's where I'm confused. Howell just bonded over $3 million for water pipes to go to Freewood Acres in our township, and we were told that the water company could not fund it. So what is the difference? How is it different?
I'm not sure of the question, I'm sorry.
It's different pots of money. I can kind of jump in on this one. So Freewood Acres water system is a completely separate project, separate division of New Jersey American, okay? They consider that a developer's project, so in their eyes, we're a developer. It's no different than if a subdivision went in down the street and they needed water service, they would have to build their own water system and give it to New Jersey American, okay? So I get what you're saying, because I've had some of those same feelings along the line where, you know, on one hand, they have enough money to do this project over here, on the other hand, they won't give us money to do a project over here. I don't necessarily disagree with you, but they're completely separate pots that they are pulling out of. And, you know, their attorneys have informed us they can't mix match that money. I've tried, trust me, I've tried, but it's completely separate.
Okay, you told me...
Just like the water mains that are going in right now in Candlewood are another separate set of funding amounts. So that's under the DSIC program, which is the Distribution Service Improvement Charge, which is a line item on your water bill if you have New Jersey American Water. You don't probably notice it. It's probably a 90 cents, 95 cents, something like that. I don't know what the numbers are. But that's a separate pot of money. So we can't use that money to fund Freewood Acres either.
Well, you told me that that money was being used for this project here. We're talking about.
Please clarify that.
The amount that we all pay on our water bill every month, that what you just, I don't know how to say it.
DSIC.
What?
DSIC, Distribution Service Improvement Charge?
Yes. You said that we all pay that on our water
Correct.
bill every month, right?
Correct.
And that is being used to fund this project?
No, that is used to fund the Candlewood water main replacement. That's for infrastructure rehabilitation only. That's a separate line item that was approved by the BPU a few years ago that allows the water company to put money towards their old infrastructure that needs replacement.
Okay, so maybe I'm remembering incorrectly, because I thought you said that was funding this program.
Absolutely not, no.
Okay.
Nope.
And what else did I have to say? Oh, I think that's all. I will sign in. I just want to just let everyone know that Howell Township has a working environmental commission.
Kathy, did you by chance happen to know that answer before about the wells versus?
I'm not on the environmental commission.
Oh, I thought you were.
But I have friends who are.
Okay, I had you mistaken, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that wants to come up to the microphone? Okay. I would like to close this portion of the meeting.
Oh.
Come up to the microphone. No worries.
My name is Raymond Betts. I live in Ramtown.
Please pick the microphone up. The system's not picking it up.
My name is Raymond Betts. I live in a Ramtown section of Howell. I'd just like to know what the mayor thinks of this whole project.
I don't see an issue with the project. I live on Old Tavern Road. I think it's a benefit to the town.
How?
Have you driven all over the roads that we're talking about?
Well, I know the road I live on, Newton's Corner Road, is a mess. Why don't they pave that road, you know, with some of the... Do you have to do something for the township? I don't hear anything really being done for the township. Is our water going to go up? I don't know what's going to happen with that either.
When the water goes up, it has nothing to do with this. This is a separate project.
Okay. So what's your opinion? You say it's fine for the township.
I think I just gave it to you.
Which way? I don't know which way you think that it's, you know, good for the township.
There are roads that will be repaved
Yeah.
that
Not our
are in
roads.
desperate need. I'm sorry?
Not my road.
Did you want me to answer or not?
Yeah, answer.
I think roads will be repaved. We will get more trees than what we currently have, and there'll be more access to water going up and down.
That's nothing.
Okay?
Why, I don't understand this whole
That's
project.
your opinion.
Why don't they put a water service in just for the police department and the library and end this whole thing? And give them water? What do we have to cater to Lakewood for? I don't understand that.
Where did that come from?
This is for Lakewood, isn't it? This water?
This is a main that's going through. It's going to whatever town needs it.
I mean, a 30-inch water main,
Okay, so
a 36-inch
I
water
would
main is
respectfully
huge.
request for one of the professionals at the front to answer his questions.
The transmission main provides water to Lakewood, but as I stated, it also has an interconnect where that red line and the yellow line, where Phase 1 and Phase 2 abut one another. It has an interconnect, and it connects to the distribution system west of that area, which is all within Howell Township. And as Jim mentioned, people along the main also have the ability to connect to it, and there have been connections within Howell Township. So there are people that see a benefit to that increased water capacity.
Mr. Schaller, would you like to maybe comment a little bit on New Jersey American's requirements for providing water service, things like that?
Yeah, I will say that, you know, for the project itself, it's an important project for us for sustainability and reliability. This isn't something we take lightly. We're a steward of water, and, you know, we don't haphazardly put water main in the ground to serve a certain purpose. This is a general installation that, again, it'll boost the reliability and sustainability of the house system, which is something that, you know, we look at years ago. This, again, you heard the route analysis is 2015. we looked at this project probably in 2010. So we have a whole planning group that looks and foresees the development of the different towns that we have. So this is how these projects come about. So this project's probably been on the books for 9-10 years. One of the things that I will say is the Lanes Mill Road. It has nothing really to do with the transmission main, but the existing system has a bunch of dead-end systems in that section of town. So that 9,100 feet that we're putting in, we're actually looping all that piping out there, so we have redundancy there. So if you had a fire on a dead end, you wouldn't lose water pressure. If there was a water main break, the customers wouldn't lose water. So we're spending a substantial amount of money to do other, upgrades, not just the transmission main.
Will there be disruptions in the water service as they're hooking this thing up, water lines in any way?
It'll be minor.
Please speak into the microphone.
Speaking to him. Will there be disruptions in the water service while
Well,
this is
anytime
going
you're
on?
doing construction, there will be disruptions because we have to connect the pipes together.
So
But
we'll have no water at times?
we'll minimize that with letters. The residents will know well in advance before we do any construction if there's going to be a water service disruption.
Well, I vote no. That's good for me. Thank you. One more.
Yeah, just to clarify, if you see the section over along Maxim Southern Road, to Jim's point, those 3 white dots, the dot at Talcott, the dot at Angel Court, and the dot at Castle Court, are all connections to, that's where those connections to dead ends are, and it's basically creating a loop in that distribution system and provides the benefits that Jim just stated.
Good evening. My name is George Gregson, 34 Newton's Corner Road, Howell. I just want to clarify things. This came up last minute for me. Basically, you have a 36-inch pipeline running through Howell and Lakewood, and it's basically underground topography. The grounds, nothing will really be changed, and any properties being sold are only easements, and they're being sold to American Water Company.
That's correct.
That's right. So they're just small easements. No other properties are being sold to anyone else, or no
they're
building projects going on.
They're 20-foot wide easements over 2 small pieces of our property, and then 1 20-foot easement over the county's property as well.
So no large areas, nothing being sold. It's
Nope.
just
And we'll still retain the ownership of those properties. They just have the right to install the pipe and then maintain it over the years. And when they're done, for instance, in Echo Lake, you'll see no difference. And behind our shooting range, you'll see no difference.
Okay, so it's just underground. Nothing will be seen. You're improving a pipeline.
Correct. The only thing they don't want to do is maintain trees above the pipeline behind our shooting range. So they'll allow scrub trees, things of that nature, grasses to grow up, make it natural again, but just no large trees. And that's why we're going to plant trees in other places.
Are there any areas along this pipeline where future development, you foresee future projects going on?
Nothing proposed
Big
at this time.
Housing complexes or nothing like that?
There's nothing proposed at this time.
Nothing proposed. And there's a portion that's going underneath the golf course, right?
Well, it's county-owned property south of the golf course.
South of the golf course.
Correct.
And that will, okay, stay.
That's
on
also
golf.
in the middle of the woods where no one really, it's not open to anybody. It's kind of not forgotten land, but it's in the back there.
Okay, thank you for your time. It was just last minute, and I just needed to do these questions. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
No, you first, go ahead.
Jim, back to the increased fire protection. How many hydrants are we adding? Do we know?
Off the top of my head, I don't remember. Do you remember, Joe? Probably 9, maybe 8 or 9 on the local side, the distribution section. Usually it's about a hydrant every 1,000 feet.
So in the distribution section, those homeowner policies will come down, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Well, obviously, it's all depending on your exact insurance, coverage and all that. But yes, that's typically a factor in your insurance coverage is the addition of hydrants within a certain number of feet to your house will drive your homeowner's policy down.
So most of the hydrants are in that area then?
Well, there's also hydrants all along the red line too that have already been installed, and I know for a fact they've already been used on a couple occasions because I happened to be there with them. So, yeah, it definitely has gotten utilized already.
A couple questions. The first thing, we're getting 104.
Councilman, I'm sorry, but Pam was.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, thank you, Mayor. Sorry. You're next, Tony. I just have a question. How have the residents been informed about what's been going on? Are they get phone calls, they get letters? How often are they updated about what's going on, how it's going to affect them, if any cost to them? How are we contacting the residents? Jim?
So the only contact really has been through the people that are within 200 feet of the diversions, right? So by law, we're required to notify them. That's actually not very many residences, right? Because those diversions are two small places along the whole pipeline. The rest of it has just been based on my updates on the website, which I provided an update last week on the township website. It was about a year since I provided one because there was not a whole lot going on. But, you know, there's really not a whole lot of notification that goes on just yet because we haven't got to construction. Once construction comes around, the contractor that's selected by New Jersey American will be required to provide letters. New Jersey American will provide a mailer that will probably go out to all the residents. They'll provide a postcard that'll go out to all the residents, informing them that there's construction coming. You know, you're going to have to potentially move your cars, things like that. They will get notified by a door hanger or something the day before. They're going to be right in front of their house if they need to get in and out of their house to make access. And that's generally it. We'll provide variable message signs along the roadways that'll say, you know, on or about certain dates. The road will be closed, seek alternate routes, local traffic only, things of that nature. Now, you know, during the alternatives analysis that was done by Jill Marie and her team at HDR, you know, there was a couple different alternatives, and one of them was to utilize Route 547. That was actually the shortest route, and that was probably the most cost-effective for the water company. And we had, I can't tell you how many conversations, arguments, we'll call it whatever we want to call it, but we actually really wanted them to go on the local roads rather than the county road, because yes, it is an inconvenience to our residents. Yes, they are going to have detours. Yes, there's going to be road closures. However, when you look at it, my job is to put things in perspective and look at what's the lesser of the evils. Is the lesser of the evils to have Maxim Southern Road, Oak Glen Road, things like that closed and have local people who generally know the area work their way around these detours? Or is it better to have Route 547 closed and all of that commuter traffic from Route 547 placed onto Maxim Road, Maxim Southern Road, Oak Glen? What's the better option for the town? There's no doubt in my mind. I mean, that was one of the alternatives analysis that was looked at. I don't think it's even a question when it comes down to it. So people will complain. I heard plenty of complaints during the process. They're right. They are inconvenienced. At the end, like I said, there's probably 4+ miles of road that are going to get repaved on top of the, how many miles did we already do under phase 1? It was a couple miles under phase 1 already. So, yep. You know, it's definitely an inconvenience, but, you know, it's kind of keep your eye on the prize. At the end of the day, we have the better roads. You know, the township benefits from that point of view.
So the 200 residents that already know about this project, have you had any feedback from them?
It's not 200 residents. It's residents within 200 feet.
Oh, I'm sorry, within 200. About how many residents was that about?
I do not know. Do you have the numbers?
Anybody?
You remember how many it was? 30?
Just 30.
Yeah, well, 200 feet's not really a big distance around Echo Lake,
but it
right?
sounds like a big project, so I'm just surprised that you haven't had much feedback.
Remember, because it's only on the diversions.
Right, okay, thank you.
It's not very populated back there. I live right there.
Mayor, if I may.
Please.
Jim, you said 140,000 we're going to receive from American Water to replant trees?
Correct.
Did you say that there was a project already kind of in the works for Soldier Memorial, or were we just going to plant the trees in the spots that they were taken down?
No, so to me, there's no benefit to doing that, right? You don't want to put the trees in the middle of an area that's not utilized by anybody, that's not seen by anybody, that's generally wooded already. So the plan was to, my first thought was utilize Soldier Memorial Park, just because being over there and seeing the thousands of people that are there on a weekend, which, by the way, the place was packed on Saturday, there's no trees over there. There's no cover. There's no trees between soccer fields. There's no trees around, an edge where you want to park and kind of hang out. So we actually were thinking about doing a planting plan in Soldier Memorial. That was baseline number one. The Shade Tree Commission, in the meantime, last year came to us and said, we want to go plant trees in Soldier Memorial Park. We want to use funding to do that. And I actually stopped them and said, no, don't do that. Let's wait. If this goes through, there's going to be $140,000 of funding specifically set aside that we have to spend within 2 years. So there's a caveat to that, right? We actually have to spend this money. We can't take it and balance the budget. We can't just keep it and put it in the bank. We can't go buy something else. We are using it to replant trees. So we have 2 years to replant trees from the time we get the funding. So we feel that that's a reasonable accommodation, and we'll do that.
Okay. And you said 4+ miles of road paved? I wanted to know how many miles of road was going to be paved in this project. You said 4+ miles, approximately? I think you said that. I don't know.
There are, it's just over, we'll call it 4.2 lane miles, which is essentially 2.1 centerline miles, right, times 2, okay? So 4.2 lane miles for the section from Maxim Southard through the DPW complex. And then there's another 1.7 centerline miles that are along Maxim Southard, Locust, Talcott, and Lanes Mill.
Okay, and is it mill style paving, or is it an actual? Okay.
So what'll happen is when they're complete, the roadways will be milled out. We'll do any base repair that needs to be done before we repave it, and then they'll overlay, stripe, and put back any stop bars, things like that.
And my last question is, do we know how much money we're going to get in open space money from American Water?
Yes, so I believe we're getting, it's 7,000 for, 64,000 total. It's 7,000 and 57,000 for the 2 different easements. And that money will be utilized to acquire additional new open space.
Is there a time limit on that money, or like the trees, or no?
Is there a time limit on that? 2 years as well?
2 years.
And there's also an opportunity for us to potentially partner with Monmouth County and do a joint acquisition together.
Okay. Nothing further, guys.
Mayor, may I have one? And if I missed it, I apologize. Do we have a potential start date and a potential completion date, or how long the project is going to take?
Well, this is all contingent on receiving the State House Commission approval for the diversion of parkland, right? So this has to go to the state, which is why we're doing these public hearings. That potential meeting will be held in June, if I'm not mistaken,
Correct.
Right? If that happens and the State House Commission decides to approve it, then when do you think you could start construction?
We would like to break ground in September.
And about how long will the project take? Weeks, months, years?
Months.
Months. So we're looking going into the winter months then?
Correct.
And winter months?
Into the spring a bit, so probably 6 to 8 months.
6 to 8 months.
It's a major project.
Yeah. Well, I just think about into the winter, right? And we talk about plowing and cold weather. Is that going to delay the project? I mean, we were pretty lucky this year with the snow, but going forward, you never know. So I don't know. Would that delay the project?
It really shouldn't.
Yeah, it really shouldn't.
Okay.
I mean, phase 1 construction was in the,
Same
there was
time.
a portion in the winter as well, and we didn't see an impact.
Thank you.
Yep. Jim, to answer an earlier question, I don't have the fire hydrant quantity for phase 2 construction, but for phase 1 construction, that red line, 18 fire hydrant assemblies were installed.
And those were all as requested by the Ramtown, Southard, and Squonkam fire companies. And we actually had signed agreements, I believe, with all of them.
Are there any other questions?
Mr. Weiss, would you like to close it up?
Yes, just two things really quickly. We were watching the clock. Mr. Coyman had some prepared remarks. I'd like to just make them part of the record. And finally, I would just like everyone to know that the Monmouth County Park System, the Monmouth County Board of Recreation Commissioners, and the Monmouth County Board of Chosen Freeholders support and endorse the New Jersey American Water Howell Lakewood Transmission Main Project. And with that, thank you very much for your time and attention. I'd like to close this public hearing.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
At this point, I will entertain a motion to close the meeting.
Motion to close, Mayor.
Second?
Second?
Roll call, Mr. Bonvich?
Yes.
Ms. Richmond?
Yes.
Mr. Russo?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
Yes.